Are you applying to multiple PM jobs but don't get any response back? Are you struggling to craft your PM resume and LinkedIn profile? If yes, then you have landed on the right video. Hi, I'm Shri, and in this video, you'll learn about how to craft a killer resume and LinkedIn profile for product management. Before we get started, please do watch my previous video on how to shortlist your product management jobs. All right, so let's quickly go through the agenda for this session. We're going to go through some resume tips, LinkedIn tips, as well as how to best apply to your favorite product management jobs, right? So first, let's dive into the resume section. So let's go through what a bad resume looks like and then compare it what a good resume might look like, right? So let's take an example here. And go to a bad resume example, right? So if you can see here, you have a summary section, right, which kind of describes how many years of product program they have, what have they been doing for 8+ years, core competency in new product introduction, go-to-market strategy, business analysis, and all of this, right? But it still doesn't tell me what they've actually accomplished, right? It's a summary. And then if I scroll down here, you can see it's work experience at FUBAR. And I can see they have engaged with key stakeholders, built product roadmaps, mock-ups, product requirements. But again, all of this is responsibilities, not really something they have gone above and beyond and what is an achievement they have done as a product manager, because I, as a recruiter or a hiring manager, already know that, okay, these are the things that they have to be doing anyways. And then if I go further down, you can see the skill sets. And it's kind of a skill set galore where you have everything from A to Z. And even lists out some soft skills, some product management skills, and these are better known in person when you actually discuss with the person, right? And again, there's education, there are certifications, and then there's also some extracurricular activities, which is like volleyball, soccer player, a music enthusiast, and all that, which are not truly relevant to what I'm looking for in a candidate, right? And another important thing is here, I don't see any metrics of whatever, so that I can kind of understand what are their achievements in terms of numbers, right? So now with that, let's go to a good resume example and then see how we can change the same person, John Doe's resume, into a better looking one. So switching to, again, John Doe here, right? So if you can see here, you can see now that, okay, I know what is their product manager experience. And again, this is not a full resume. This is just an example to get the point out of how to write a good resume. So if you can see here, they have specifically mentioned now John Doe is launched a flagship product. Now I have they have 10 million users that have used that product. And then I can see how many different people John Doe has collaborated with. And there's even a link to their launch, right? So that might be like some media article, right? And then on the second line, the same thing, right? Before there was just a product roadmap, but now we can see what is that product roadmap about, in sense of it's a strategic roadmap, and we have a list of how many stakeholders that tells me what is the scale at which this person operated, and then what is the final impact. So, okay, by building a roadmap, John Doe was able to ship key features on time. And then again, on the UX portion here, if you see, they have improved checkout rate by 150% by redesigning entire user workflows, right? And then you can follow the same trend. They've drafted product requirements, collaborating with engineers and UX, and improved customer experience, and then also changed pricing models, closed a double-digit $1 million deal, and then also secured $1 million funding by pitching to C-level executives, right? So all of this kind of give me a sense of the scale at which this particular product manager worked at, right? And then going back to education here, it's really short and sweet. If there was a GPA to highlight, you can highlight that, and then the years and the university where he got the education, right? And then again, all of the skill sets are just summarized to like 2 lines, right? And then there's no soft skills, product management skills, and all of that, right? There's specific hard skills that the PM has listed on. And then going to the last one, in awards and certifications, there they talk about like volleyball tournament award, press coverage for the music album, and also that John Doe is a certified product manager, right? So if you can see here, everything is organized as an accomplishment, not as a responsibility, right? Even the extracurricular activities, right? And along with links so that they can click and go to those links. And compare to the bad resume example again. So let me zoom this in as well to that same level. And so you can see here that here, if you compare like line by line, so you have engaged with key stakeholders and shipped software to users. That doesn't give me scale at which they operated at. And then here, specifically 10 million users and how many people they've worked with, like 56 stakeholders, and so on and so forth. So, as you can see here, each bullet has 3 things, right? There's task, there is a detail, and also an impact. But primarily task and the impact, right? Every bullet has that. And then if you go back here, all they have is just kind of a responsibility. So, what can we learn from the good and bad resume examples is number one, have your resume within 1 page, right? Again, this is catered towards the US market, and there are several formats of resumes across the world. But at least in the US and maybe even Europe, it's recommended to keep your resume in 1 page or maximum 2 pages if needed. And why is that? It's because think about the interviewer or the recruiter or the hiring manager. They actually get like millions of resumes, and also these days all people have like very less attention spans, so you want to keep that to a minimum of 1 page so that your juiciest pieces of accomplishments are on the top so that it can quickly look at them, which piques their interest of, okay, I want to learn more about this person, right? So that is your almost giving like a teaser trailer of who you are, and then now they want to learn more about you as a person during the job interview, right? So resume is a teaser trailer so that they can ask you more questions in the job interview. So keep it to succinct bullets so that you're just giving enough, but not enough so that they don't even need to interview you, right? So 1 page. Second is to have a clear contact information. I kid you not, a lot of people actually forget to mention their phone number or their email address within the resume, or they have typos in there. So please do have a clear contact info mentioned in your resume. And third is, as you have seen in the bad resume example, there's a whole bunch of lines in the summary, but it still doesn't tell me if the person can actually do the job, right? And that is why I think summaries are just waste of real estate. So I would just get rid of summaries altogether. Your entire resume should be your summary, right? And fourth is achievements and not responsibilities, right? Again, in the John Doe's previous example of bad resume, all it was responsibilities, which doesn't actually tell anything specific about what that person accomplished, right? So again, have the bullets as achievements. What do we mean by achievements? Is have it in the format of task and impact, right? That is, as an example, if you have redesigned the website, you mentioned what the redesign was, and then what was the result was, like maybe improve your checkout rate or reduce the number of steps for accomplishing a task, and so on and so forth, right? So that they're measurable and people can get a sense and compare apples to apples of what the accomplishments were. And then listing out too many skills, right? Please do omit all your soft skills, specific product management skills. List down the bare minimum hard skills that are needed for that job description. And yeah, if there are some descriptions or like skills mentioned in the job description then yeah, have that for sure. But then try to keep it very succinct and maybe 2 lines of skills. And then keywords, right? And again, in this day and age, you are actually faced with this applicant track system every time you upload your resume. So it needs to go through the machine first before a human looks at it. So make sure the pertinent keywords are listed, but not separately in a paragraph, but they're listed across your resume as a bullet. So, as an example, let's say customer segmentation is a keyword, then you can list out something like um, did customer segmentation and found the exact customer segment, and then you scaled the market share to about 20%, right? So that gives you that you've done your market segmentation, and also there's an impact of increasing market share within that segment, right? This was just an example, but you can think about this for any other keyword and then see how that keyword can be made part of your bullet, right? And then lastly, you have extracurricular activities. So this is actually makes your resume unique and different. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're applying to Spotify or Apple Music, and let's say you're a music enthusiast, right? Just putting music enthusiast doesn't cut it. But let's say you've started a band together and you've created music. That would be a great plus to mention, and that makes your resume unique and different for that job description, right? So make sure you still make your extracurricular activities as achievements, and then make sure they're pertinent to the job you're applying. Like, don't mention something that is totally irrelevant to the job, right? That doesn't add value to your resume. So that are the key resume points. Now, coming on to resume prioritization, that is, there are so many different job descriptions, and you would have to craft a different kind of resume for every job description. So that doesn't really scale. So how do you prioritize having a general resume versus having a specific crafted resume for a specific job description, right? So what I would suggest is to have a master resume covering all of your achievements. What I mean by that is you can have maybe 2 or even 3 pages when you're crafting your master resume. So don't think about the page limit there. But you can have each job, you can have them like 10 bullets or even like 15 bullets, and then cover all of your achievements, still following the task and impact style. And then when you look at a job description, see what is a job description specifically asking for, right? If it's asking for more UX, then highlight those and trim the rest out or remove the rest out, right? And then make sure your 2-page master resume is again back to your 1 page, right? So that way you have a master resume which has all of your achievements, but then you remove certain bullets from your resume so that you can craft a specific resume for that specific job description, right? And then lastly, so here are some keywords that I've listed which are pertinent for product management, right? And again, I'm not going to go through each of those keywords here because you can read it off the slide here. But make sure these keywords are mentioned within your resume so that whenever the resume is being scanned, it can spot all of these different ones. And even humans, when they look at it, they know, okay, this looks like a product manager resume. So to highlight some of those: vision, UX, wireframes, go-to-market, profit and loss, technical architecture, critical user journeys, A/B test. As you can see, some of these keywords would be very relevant to product management. So now that we have gone through the resume portion, which is kind of more of an outbound, right? So you send your resumes whenever people ask you to send or when you reach out to people. But then there's a second way, which is LinkedIn, right? And that is more of an inbound so that you get calls or emails from recruiters, from hiring managers, so that you don't need to do the heavy lifting of reaching out to people, right? So now we're going to go into how to make a killer LinkedIn profile so that people can actually reach out to you instead of you reaching out to them. So let's go into that. So what are some basic tips on LinkedIn? So number one, as you already know, have a full profile, and LinkedIn kind of shows you what is a percentage of completeness. Make sure you hit that 100%, right? Second is have a headline and a title which has product manager or product owner in it. Why is that? Because when recruiters are searching on LinkedIn, they use product manager or product owner as a title or somewhere in the headline so that your result will show up, right? Third is having skills pertaining to product management, right? If there's business analysis, if there's product requirements. So whenever recruiters are searching, they're also searching for these skills, and LinkedIn also pulls up those particular profiles up when people are searching because they look like skill sets pertaining to product management, right? And fourth is be active on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is a social network end of the day, and its algorithm kind of ranks the people who are more active higher than the people who are tending to be inactive on LinkedIn, right? So how do you be active on LinkedIn? Is post like articles, right? Even if it's on product management, that's even better. Like, comment on articles within LinkedIn. So make sure your profile is up there and you're always active on LinkedIn, right? And then study the patterns of how people are finding you, and you can do this in your LinkedIn, like how people found you when you looked at people who viewed you, and then it shows you what are different ways people are searching for you, and then amplify that specific one. Let's say it's appearing more on your because of search, right? Then you can see what are those different search patterns, and then based on that, increase those elements. For example, let's say a lot of people are searching who are from like recruiters or something. So look at what you changed in the past and then keep on doing the same thing, right? And you can also see the trends of is it your profile views, have they gone up or gone down? So every time you're changing, also look at the data and see if it is going up or is it going down. And then follow those trends and patterns and keep updating your resume based on the data. So this is all for basic tips. Now let's move on some advanced tips. Okay, so for advanced tips, the first thing you need to do is, of course, in my previous video where I talk about how to shortlist the companies and PM roles you should be applying for. So assuming you've done that, now you look for the product manager profiles on LinkedIn within those companies. And then you're going to model your profile like theirs. It doesn't need to be exact, but at least look at different things. So search for those lookalike PMs and then try to mimic their patterns. Second is also style your keywords. So look at how they have positioned themselves. What is their headline? What are the different keywords they're using within their paragraphs? Third is look at what universities, what previous companies of PMs are getting hired at those companies, right? And see if you have any commonality there, right? And then also match the skills. So look at those PM profiles, match those skills, look at the groups that they have joined. You can also go join the same groups, right? And then even influencers they follow. Because all of these are, again, inputs to LinkedIn that your profile is like the other PM who is at the company where you want to be at. And then when a recruiter searches, it will show up your profile higher up, right? And this is not only for the machine, but having these commonalities is also good for one more thing, which is connecting with those PMs. So now that you have these associations, groups, skills, and all of that, you can have like a friendly conversation. But what my advice here would be is just don't reach out and say, hey, I'm looking for a job, can you refer me? Because these are like cold contacts, but seek their advice, right? Hey, I saw your post on this group. And I have some questions or thoughts, and then let them know your thoughts or questions, and have a friendly conversation and seek their help in product management in general. And that would be how you would make connection with these PMs using these advanced tips. So all this is good. You have a LinkedIn profile, you have a resume, but then it comes down to how do you actually reach out to those people to get into those companies and get a PM job, right? How do you apply? And that's what we're going to dive into next. Of course, inbound is always the best way, and that is why LinkedIn becomes the utmost important thing you do. Keep your profile up to date so that people reach out to you instead of you reaching out to them. But of course, there's always that dream job or specific job you want to reach out to, and that's why outbound works as well. But how do you do this outbound actually matters. To start with the different users or different people that you can actually reach out to, there's three buckets, right? So one is recruiters, second is hiring managers, and third is referrals. And referrals here is your connections, your friends, or friends of friends, right? And there's a specific way you kind of email them or a template so that you can effectively reach out to them and get responses from them, right? So let's go into that and look at each of these segments here. So first, I would want to go through the recruiter or manager template. It's kind of the same, but with a hiring manager, you might be getting more technical into the actual job, right? But again, as you can see here, you have a simple hi, and you start out saying that be succinct and to the point. That is, what is a product manager role at what company? Put in a link so that they can click and get to that. And start with them first, right? Again, start with that person. So if it's a recruiter, talk about something about their profile, a recent article they posted, or if there's a common group or common association between the manager, the hiring manager, or the recruiter and your profile, right? And then immediately connect something from your experience with the responsibilities required in the job. And then very briefly mention your skills and experience, and then just have this one-liner asking them if they're available for a phone chat to learn more about the role. And then that's it, right? Be very brief, get to the point, but also talk about them first, then get into the details. The thing is, kind of make it how you do it in a real world conversation in the world, right? So your email should be the same. You talk about them first, and then you kind of introduce you and talk about you, right? Now, so that is a high level recruiter manager template. Of course, you can tweak it and change it based on your needs. But just to give you an example, because this is something that worked for me, and that's why I'm laying it out to you as an example here. I actually found a recruiter who was passionate about local food because she was listing that in her LinkedIn profile. And I'm also a foodie, by the way. And so, as you can see here, the first thing I started is saying that I'm a foodie just like you with my passion for local food. And then I connect with my actual previous startup. I ran a venture-backed marketplace startup connecting local bakers to consumers, right? And then I list out, okay, prior to my startup, this is the experience I have. And then I keep it very short. And then at the end, I kind of ask for the recruiter's availability and then also share some thoughts on great food, right? So keep it very friendly, but also making sure there's a goal to that email that I'm excited about this particular product manager role, right? So this is an example modeled on a template that I gave previously. And now, lastly, the referral template. So that is, you're reaching out to your friend or a friend of a friend, and it's almost the same. The only thing is you are kind of picking their interest here. So that is, you're just saying, hey, I would love to opportunity to connect with your friend or with your contact, and I would love to learn more, right? Because you're seeking advice here. But you also kind of specify that you have this product manager role in mind, but then you're interested to learn more about how the companies and so on and so forth, and then ask them for an introduction and then thank them. So it's very simple, right? And then once you get into the actual meeting, then you have a list of questions to ask, and then you get to know them. And then once you get to know them on the phone call, then you can request a referral for the actual contact, right? And this is what I would suggest for the referral template. And that kind of concludes our video for this session, so that we have covered how to craft a resume, how to make your LinkedIn profile more outstanding, and then third is some email templates to reach out, right? But once you reach out, there's a next phase, right? Which is, how do you crack the interview, the PM interview? And that's what will be covered in my next video. So stay tuned. Until then, bye, and have a great rest of your day.